Last time I was sedated, I ended up buying Chelsea a puppy, and I don't really remember it. So welcome back to the channel. As you can see, it's been a bit of time. I've got this pretty crazy flow going on and a beard. I didn't really get the memo that from COVID that the barbershops were open, so I decided to keep everything going. But anyways, my name's Luke, and if you found yourself clicking on this video, you're probably suffering or maybe going through a bit of EoE. So this video is just a continuation of all the other videos that I had here, but I'm going to specifically talk about the scope itself. So talk about a little bit how I prep for the scope itself, and then as well, after, I want to chat a little bit about the aftermath. I've got some funny videos that I actually filmed, and I had no idea that I'd filmed them at the time, so sedation's pretty crazy. But stay tuned and we'll get right into it. So you're probably asking yourself, how do you prep for the scope? Well, first off, your doctor is probably going to tell you exactly how to prep for it. Basic things is just, typically you're not eating or drinking anything before you actually go to your scope. And that's just, I think, because of all the sedation that they put in, they want it to work totally and effectively. But the next thing is just a little bit about my experience of how I went into everything. So basically, I'd get up in the morning and I wouldn't be eating or drinking anything, go down to the hospital, and the first thing that they do is they hook you up to an IV. So a lot of the times, I would get an IV right here in the hand, on my right hand here, and sometimes, they would put it right in the forearm here. Either way, I found it doesn't really bother me. Everyone's different themselves, and I actually had a couple times when I had actually newer nurses, and they weren't super good at putting in the IV, so I remember once in my hand here, I got an IV probably like 4 tries. They had to keep jamming it in there, so that kind of sucked, but it is what it is. But again, pretty painless, not really troublesome at all. The next thing that you do is honestly just like a waiting game. So you're waiting there, and then you lay down on the table. Typically you have to go on your side because they're going to actually be shoving like a camera and scope down your throat. So and that's pretty much how you prep for it. Now for the scope itself. So basically my experience is that when you're actually on the table there, the doctor may be asking you a few questions, talking about your experience. Maybe if it's your first time, they're going to go over a little bit about it. But the one thing that they actually start you off with is they spray, I don't know what it is, but it tastes absolutely awful, and it initially numbs the back of your throat there. I don't really know exactly why that they do that, but maybe it's just because it numbs your throat, and then maybe it helps when you actually are sedated and not feeling anything. So other than that, I don't really know why, but it's pretty disgusting. You swallow it, and then you start to feel the back of your throat and everything start to numb. But shortly after that, they actually inject the sedation in, and then you go to sleep. Honestly, it's something for some people it might be scary, but it's something that I always look forward to. I always think in my mind, I'm going to try to fight it as long as I can and see if I can beat out the drugs or something like that. But the sedation always wins, and it never goes in my favor. So the first thing about these scopes, I actually want to share a bad experience that I have. And a caveat to that is just that it was only one experience that was actually bad. And until I found a really good gastroenterologist, then things changed completely for me. The experiences were absolutely amazing. So the first experience that I had, and this was when I was brand new to everything, I had no idea. I got, I laid down on the table, I got that spray in the back of my throat, and they didn't sedate me for a little bit here. So it was the weirdest feeling of, you don't know if you're swallowing or not, like your saliva and all that stuff. And, it's a pretty weird feeling when you're actually in that position. The next thing is when I actually got sedated there, I feel like they didn't do it maybe quite enough, because I was pretty sedated for the most part of it. And you're kind of like in this weird dream world in a sense. And the thing is that I could kind of feel, I do remember vividly like feeling certain parts of the procedure and everything, and it was pretty awful in the fact of that it just felt like they were like taking this rod and like jamming it in the back of my throat, and I remember myself like kind of gagging on the scope and everything, and it was quite an awful experience. And as well, actually, when I woke up from it, they didn't tell me at all that I actually had EoE, and so that was something I had to go home and Google and figure out on my own. So that was kind of a crappy experience, but you know, from everything else after that, it got so much better. So now about the good experiences. So like I said, every single scope after that was amazing. I had no issues or problems at all, and I probably had around, I would say, 6 or 7 scopes after that. And so basically, you know, I go through the sedation and, you know, I had no issues at all. I passed right out when they injected the sedation in, and then I woke up a little bit later, and, you know, I was taken out of the hospital, brought home, and going on from there. But that's not really where it stops necessarily. The thing is that when you actually, you know, you're kind of in this recovery time after, and it might be 30-45 minutes or something like that. But the thing is that you still forget a lot after that. So there's a period of time where, of course, you're kind of still sleeping and wearing off the sedation a bit. But then when you get picked up by whoever is coming to picking you up, you actually talk quite normally. So here's a clip right now of me after the fact, after I've already been sedated and I've woken up. And I don't remember filming any of this at all. So it's kind of a weird feeling because it looks like I'm pretty coherent, which I am, but you know, 2 hours later after that, I had no idea that I filmed anything. And even here's some pictures and whatnot that I actually took while I was sitting there in the bed after sedation. And I, again, had no idea that I even took these. And the only way that I found out was after the fact. I was kind of going through my phone and I realized I had taken some pictures and videos. So here's kind of a clip of all that stuff there. Okay, so I just got out of the hospital. My brother-in-law Tim, whoa, that's bright. Brother-in-law Tim picked me up. I went in for a biopsy for this whole, I feel like I got stuff. I do have stuff on my face. What is this? Stuff on my face from the surgery, or the biopsy, whatever. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
I'll remind you later that you even took this video.
Yeah, and then, so basically what happens is that, sorry for being shaky, they sedate you and I get my biopsy done, but then like I just start to forget little bits of everything. Like I don't know how I even put my shirt back on. Like I don't remember that, and then you kind of walk out there feeling like you're staggering. You feel a bit drunk, honestly. And the weirdest part is that you can talk to someone normally, but then I will forget everything later on. Like, so as soon as I get home and things kind of start going by, like I won't remember at all. Like there's been a few times where I've done this. Well, I think this is my 6th time back getting these biopsies done for my throat, and yeah, and like I never remember how we got home or anything like that. And yeah, and this time I think I was pretty good. I didn't argue with anyone.
You did not argue with anyone.
Which is good, because I guess last time Chelsea had picked me up, and she said that I was arguing with the nurse because I got results back and they weren't really that great, and so I was really mad. And so yeah, today was a good day. I didn't argue with anyone, but we'll see how things go. Last time I was sedated. I ended up buying Chelsea a puppy, and I don't really remember it. So that's how crazy these drugs are. Especially because I feel like I'm talking fine and I'm totally fine, but this video I won't remember that I recorded, which is the weirdest thing. So, we'll see you later.